Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you.
Yeah? Okay. I thought I was muted. I don't know why. Abby, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can hear you just fine.
Right on. All right, cool. Well, everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to just start by thanking everyone, first and foremost. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for taking the time and joining Abby and I for this session. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking fishing today, Abby, and it's going to be awesome. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, let me just start by introducing Abby. First and foremost, she's a good friend of mine, and she is one heck of a stick. She's been fishing for a I don't, Abby, what, since you were a little girl, you've been fishing?
Yeah,
Maybe
my whole life. Just
something like that. Yeah, that's cool. And I've done, we've shared boats together. We've done tournaments. She's part of the Rapala pro staff, and that's an amazing thing to be part of. And she is an avid angler. Just represents angling very well and very knowledgeable, very talented young woman. And it's a pleasure to have you on, Abby. Thank you so much for joining us today and for your time.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ray Ruiz. I'm a fishing and hunting skills liaison for the Department of Natural Resources. I've been fishing since about as old as Abby, since I was a little boy, and I grew up in Chicago. So my dad started me off fishing, and I started doing tournaments when I was in high school. I think I was like 15 or 16 when I did my first tournament, and then about 8, 9 years ago, started doing professional bass tournaments. And I just been competing ever since, and it's been awesome. So, which has led me here to the DNR and to you fine folks. So we're gonna just get started here and talk about bass fishing, but more importantly, bass fundamentals. I had a coach who told me a long time ago, if you don't know the basics, you have to know the basics in order to be great or do things very well. So that's something that Abby does extremely well. She's does the basics very, very well. That's why when we go fishing, we're successful, not because we're really good anglers, but because we do the basics better than most people. So let's get started here with a PowerPoint. So I want to talk about that first picture, Abby. You remember that? The one in the middle? About that was our first bass of the year. You remember that?
It was. It was late ice.
Yeah, dude. I caught that fish on your rod, dude. Do you
Oh
remember
man,
that?
that was a fight. A
Yeah.
fight
Oh
to
my God.
remember.
It almost drug me into the hole, right? So, Abby, real quick, tell us about the fish on the right that you caught there.
You know what? That was actually on Lake Minnetonka, last spring, fishing. And I caught that one on a husky jerkbait,
Ooh,
um, treble hook, and
nice.
I love throwing those before
Yeah,
the weeds come up, and they're
yeah.
in the lagoons right now. It's pre-spawn. It's a great time to get out there.
Oh, for sure. And that's that's one of Abby's. Abby is a finesse fisherman, and we're going to be talking about different styles of fishing. You guys are going to hear that finesse fishing, power fishing, all kinds of different things. So and save your questions for the end because we're going to give you guys quite a bit of time to ask us some questions because I know, being a beginner angler, I wanted to know all the little details. I like to pick people's brains, so we're here for you guys to pick our brain. Um, the fish on the left, I caught that up north in Lake Wabido, which is not too far from Longville, Minnesota. I believe that was about a 5.5, 6 pound
That's
smallmouth
beautiful.
bass. Yeah, it was, dude, it was crazy. Almost knocked me off the boat. Caught it on a wacky worm, cinnamon brown, a wacky worm rig. So it was great. It was amazing. So let me
Now
see.
that's a fight of a lifetime,
It,
right
it
there.
was pretty. It was pretty cool. Let me. All right, come on, PowerPoint. Let's see here. Okay, so all right, so we're just going to talk you guys about universal truths about bass. Now, why is this important? The more you know about these animals, the not the easier, but the better you understand them, you can catch them a little bit better or a little bit easier. So let's just start by talking about some truths. And this is based on years of observation that Abby and I put together, years of tournament experience, talking to scientists, reading articles, reading books, and a lot of time out on the water. If you ask Abby, I mean, Abby spends, God, man, a lot of time, hours and hours, hundreds of hours out on the water. So this is how we compile this information. So bass, both largemouth, smallmouth and largemouth, are both in the sunfish family. They're both apex predators. That's just top of the food chain within the family, within their fish family. They normally average about 10 to 16 years here in the north. Now, when you go down south, and Abby, you and I were talking about this, and we went to Florida, the fish are bigger, but they don't live as long. You remember us talking about that?
Absolutely, yes.
So both of these animals, these fish do prefer both cold and warm water. And it depends on the on the time of year, right, Abby? We sometimes you'll catch them in a foot of water at 75 degrees. Other times you'll catch them in August in like 25 foot of water.
Absolutely.
So
It's a very important thing to learn too.
yeah, absolutely. As where they live. They both, again, they live shallow, they live deep. You know, it just depends on where the food is. They go where the food is. And they also, there's a thing called thermocline that we're not going to get into. That's a different, completely different podcast and presentation. But they follow that thermocline, which is a cool part of the water column that has a lot of oxygen in it. Bass recognize color, especially red and green. Very, very keen on those particular colors. Their body color does change when they're in muddy water or very clear water. For example, I was in Kentucky. We go to deer camp down there, and they have farm ponds. Those farm ponds are super muddy. I caught I think a 7-pound bass. It was enormous off a Christmas tree, and I took it out, and I thought it looked like a striped bass. It was almost translucent.
Wow.
It was insane, dude. I never seen anything like it. But they were adapting to the environment. You know, Abby, how many fish have you caught on lily pads, right? Real shallow, and they're super black. They're really dark, largemouth, really green and black, right? Because of their environment. Yeah, they're in the shade all the time, so they get dark. You know, so so consider that when you're fishing for them. It is going to be a bass, but the color does change depending on where they live, kind of water they live in. 6 cents. The ladder line is their 6 cents. So a ladder line is basically, again, we can do a whole thing on this, but a lateral line is an extension, as you can see in the middle of the fish. It's an extension. It's an extension of a nerve ending that extends across from their body. And what it does, it picks up vibration and current in the water column. And the lateral line, they have these small pores. And these pores are they have like these small hairs called cilia. And that cilia, the fish know, like when there's current, it pushes those hairs back. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing, the lateral line. And it does this to kind of, to balance itself, to know, okay, when the fish is swimming forward, these hairs bend back. Okay, when it's in current, those hairs, it knows where to go to get out of current, to be in current. And it's just an amazing thing. That lateral line is just an amazing thing. And again, we can discuss that at a different time and save your question, because it's one of the most amazing things about these animals, which makes them
a cool adaptation right there. That's wild.
Yeah. And it makes them a crazy predator, dude. I mean, it makes them a very efficient predator, you know. So this, I'm going to talk about this little guy. This is Ian Cuevas. Ian Cuevas is a young man. Back then, I think he was 5 years old. And he caught this 3-pound largemouth bass. This was over in St. Paul off of, what's that place? What's the Fort Dam, Abbey, right over in St. Paul? I can't remember right now. But it's by the old Fort plant. I can't remember the name of the Hidden Falls area. So we were doing a program, the DNR was doing a program down there, a river run. We were going to different sections of the river, and this kid caught this, Abby, on a crankbait. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Almost as big as him. I said it's almost as big as him.
Yeah, you could wrap that fish around him, dude.
Oh yeah.
So he's a great kid, and he's going to be a great angler when right now he's a great angler. Imagine when he grows up, you know.
Oh my God, I can't wait
So
to see what he turns into.
absolutely, absolutely. Hopefully, he can be the commissioner of the DNR one day. With if he continues on being an angler and being a conservationist and a steward. Going back to the truths about bass, bass always spawn in the spring, and spawning occurs between 55 and 65 degrees. Now that's a very wide range, you guys, because I'm putting both largemouth and smallmouth bass in the same category, but smallmouth usually tend to spawn a little bit in colder water and largemouth in warmer water. A female bass can an average 4,000 eggs per her body weight. For every pound she weighs, she can put 4,000 eggs. So that's about 2 to 40,000 eggs a week, again, depending on her body weight. One thing that it's really, really important that you guys understand about the spawn, and Abby and I talk a lot about this, the spawn always occurs on the new moon and the full moon. So you need two components, critical components. You need a full moon and you need water temperature. Those two things equal spawn. And you need clean water too, but those two things are critical components in order for the spawn to begin. What else do we have here? We have this is an interesting one. Abby, how many times have you been throwing a crankbait, like a big old crankbait, and a little bass whacks it? That's how many
They
times
are
has that happened?
gutsy. They are aggressive and gutsy, and they're one of the main reasons they're such a fun fish to fish for
Yeah,
here.
I fished with a good friend of mine, Tiffany, and she couldn't believe that this bass caught like it was as big as the bass, the baby bass. The lure was almost as big as the baby bass, you know, and she couldn't believe that a bass took that down. I was like, absolutely. It was like they're aggressive, they're crazy, they're crazy animals, man. So they can eat about 25-35% of their own body weight. And that goes for a lot of other fish too, like muskies and northern pikes. Here's some really interesting stuff based on our research, my research and my study, and being part of a lot of tournaments. And Abby and I, again, we talk at length about this. Bass have monocular vision. So what is monocular vision? Well, it's vision where both eyes see different images, right? And it provides a larger field of vision, but the cons to it is it messes up your depth perception. So a lot of times when you're fishing, if you have a bait, if you have a bait in your hand, let me get this bait in my hand here, and I'm a bass. A lot of times that fish will back up to get that perception down and then attack it. It'll move. It'll tilt because it has that monocular vision. So it's really interesting how they've adapted because their eyes are on top of their head, so they have that kind of good vision, but it's also they lack that depth perception. And bass are bioenergetic, which means that they're lazy. They won't chase bait. And Abby, how many times have you been to a grass edge, right? And you flip that, you're pitching a bait or you're presenting a bait, and then you don't get bit, and you throw it again, and all of a sudden, boom, you catch a fish, right?
All the time.
All the
So true.
So why that is because these fish don't want to chase anything. They're conserving energy because that's what bioenergetic means, and they want the least amount of work for the most reward. Basically, that's what it means. So if something comes their way and they don't have to chase it, boom, they'll just eat it. They're opportunists. So that's something that you guys consider. And again, save your questions for the end. We can talk more about that in a little while here.
And their aggressiveness kind of just changes over the course of the season too.
That's true, and especially in the late fall. I mean,
Absolutely.
they'll eat a potato chip you throw it at them. I mean, anything. So let's see here. Okay, so let's talk about habitat cover and structure for largemouth bass. And Abby, after I'm done with this, I'm going to hand it over to you because you'll be discussing the smallmouth portion of this. So a lot of you guys are going to be asking yourself, a lot of folks here are going to want to know, Ray, where can I find largemouth bass? Where do I start? Where do I find them? Well, let's talk about habitat cover and structure. So grass, a lot of you will call it weeds. It's not a weed. Weed is what you have in your yards. Okay. We in lakes, we have grass, different kinds of grasses. Grass edges hold bass. So there's an old saying, Abby, what's that old saying? Where you find grass, you find.
The bass.
That's right. That's right. Yep. So grass edges, lily pads are a big one that people love to fish with frogs or topwater baits. Under docks provide a lot of structure and cover for those fish. Laydowns and sunken trees. So laydown is basically a sunken tree or a big log that's in the water. That's a laydown. Sandbars, rock piles, wing dams, transition areas. Transition areas are basically when you go from grass to sand, sand to muck, muck to something else, or from one type of grass to another kind of grass. You know,
Or even shade to sunlight, you know.
sunlight is a transition. Yep, absolutely. That's a really good point. And main lake points are also a good one. Abby, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's discuss the next slide here. If this PowerPoint, there we go. All right, take it away.
You know, and same kind of applies for the smallmouth bass too. This one was caught on Mille Lacs, fishing boulders and rock piles. Along with that, you can go to reefs, sandbars, sand flats. Different lakes have totally different structures that you can chase. Grass edges, transitional areas again, just like Ray said in his slide. Main lake points, you know, anything, also just sunken boat, just anything debris that is sunk in there and can hold fish.
Yeah, because they'll relate to it. They go, they think they make it their house basically, right? They make it their house. So,
Absolutely.
which is pretty cool. All right, so let's go to the next slide here. All right, so Abby, I'm Abby and I are beginner anglers, right? So the question is, where do I start fishing? I go to Mille Lacs, a big lake, or let's get a smaller lake that people are more familiar with. Let's go with either Demacasca, more formerly known as Lake Cahoon, or what's the one or Phelan in St. Paul. We always start on the northwest side of the lake, right, Abby?
Correct.
Or we try to start there because of the position of the sun, the axis of the sun. We know that the northwest side of the lake gets the most sun, so that'll warm up the fastest. Besides that, we look for grass. That sun hits that grass and it warms the water up faster. We're looking for submerged or emergent vegetation, as you guys can see on the slide here. And
Also rock.
What's that, Abby?
Also, I said also rocks there too.
Absolutely. If you can find rocks and grass, you're gonna catch some fish. They're in the area. You know, absolutely. Spring fishing for bass again. We want to fish shallow, right, Abby? I mean, how deep are you fishing during your springtime bassin on any given lake?
You know, I think like what you have listed there, 1 to 8 feet, you know, that definitely like even up to 10 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Nice and shallow is
sure.
where it's gonna be.
And folks out there, when we say 10 feet, it might not seem shallow, but that is kind of shallow. 10 feet is shallow.
In the
Even
big
15,
scheme of things, absolutely.
yeah, even 15 foot is shallow. So, so yeah, that's a really good point. And we're fishing to have more success, right? I mean, we're fishing early in the morning or a little bit late in the afternoon when these fish are a little bit more active, you know. The other thing that we also look for, and you and I talked at length about this, is we look for like small bait fish, right? We look for like little minnows or bluegills because we know that where those small fish are the bigger predators, right?
Correct.
So, so yeah, you always want to pay attention. So we're on the northwest side, or it doesn't even have to be the northwest side. You know, it could be just pick a side, but that'll give you more success. But if you feel comfortable in another part of the lake, that's fine. Look for grass, look for submerged or emergent vegetation, fish shallow, fish early in the morning, and look for bait fish. And one more thing, Abby, that I didn't put in the PowerPoint because I didn't want to give too many slides. A good pair of polarized sunglasses. Why? You want to be able to see what's going on in the water, right? When
Excellent.
you have, when you have polarized sunglasses, it helps you see in the water better. It helps you see that grass. So if you guys, folks out there, invest in a good pair of polarized sunglasses. It's a game changer. So if you don't have them, go out and get yourself a pair.
You can even, I mean, even if you don't have that money to spend for the $200 pair right now, you can pick up a pair at a gas station even. I mean, it'll help you out, you
Right.
know, anything can
Right.
give you that advantage.
Absolutely. You know, get a cheap pair. It doesn't matter. Just as long as they're polarized, that's all that matters. You know.
Absolutely.
All right. So I want to just talk a little bit about using technology to your advantage. We all have one of these, right, Abby? You got one of these fancy phones.
Absolutely.
These are the remote control of our lives. A lot of people spend a lot of time on these. So you can go grab your phone and you go to the DNR Lake Finder phone app and download it on your phone for free. It's completely free 99. Okay. Um, why? Well, this is going to give you a little bit of advantage if you, especially if you're shore fishing. Abby and I spent years shore fishing, years, and I still shore fish, to be quite honest with you, on some lakes. Um, what that's going to do, it's you're going to be able to find depth contours. What are depth contours? Well, it's a way for you to look at the depth of the lake where there's drop offs. If you're in an area of a lake where it's really shallow, really deep, it'll tell you that. And again, it's all on your phone. You know, it also provides different fish species, boat landing and accessibility, fishing piers and docks. It'll show you that on the app, and super easy to download. And this is an example right here. This is Bamacaska. As you can see, I can't zoom any more on it, I don't believe, but as you guys can see here, what you're gonna see is there's like a bunch of lines in there, and that's the bottom contour. That's basically the depth of the lake. It tells you at the top, which is the north, that northeast corner of Bamacaska. That's where the boat launch is. On the south, that's a portage area. And then to the southeast is a dock. So it definitely gives you landmarks where to go. And again, it's on your phone. And the cool thing is when you're on there, it'll actually show it'll pin it and it'll show you where you are, you know, so which is really cool.
It
So I
takes so
definitely
much guesswork out, saves you so much time.
it
It,
does. It really does. And it eliminates like a lot of dead water, right, Abby?
absolutely.
A lot of because I mean it's a huge lake, man. Like it's hard to like fish all that water. It's a lot of water, you know.
And I mean, it's not super small window, but you want to take a lot of that, like you said, the dead water and the guesswork out so you could really target the spots where you're going to be the most successful right away.
Absolutely, absolutely,
It's a great
100%.
tool.
1 second here. Let me. This mouse is driving me crazy. Oh, here we go. All right. So Abby, I want you to talk to us about fishing equipment. Please take it away.
You know, there's so many different things that you ways you can go with this bass fishing. You know, totally tons of different lures, tons of different kinds of rods. We have the spinning rods that I think most people start out using, but then also the bait caster right there, and that's kind of for more when you're fishing weeds and you need heavier lures and you need more just more muscle getting through all that lily pad and all that brush. Tackle box to make sure that you can hold all your goodies, your hooks, you know, your worms, your lures, and then weights. Um, Soft plastics are a huge thing and are a lot of fun to use, especially in the spring. You know, we have a lot of people use in the spring these little sticks or these worms, put right under docks, and the best colors, I think. What do you think? Black and blues,
Yep.
just natural colors, these pumpkins.
Green pumpkin. I mean, you would agree, Abby, that green pumpkin is probably this is just a basic stick bait, and they're made when you guys look at it, they're made of salt too. Some of them are made of salt. The salt gives them that weight, that extra weight. But green pumpkin is a standard. That's the standard in bass fishing. The green pumpkin, anything green pumpkin,
Bass candy there. They love it. You can't go wrong with the green pumpkin.
bass candy. I love it.
Bass candy, you know. Um, and it's just so fun to try all these new ones. There's the spinner baits, you know. you know, topwater baits that are super fun to fish with. You see those fish jump out of the water, and tons of different kinds of jigs. You know, the hook that I use, I think the most is that offset wide gap, especially with those worms. Right here, and you could dress them up in any ways. So many different setups with those. So many different ones. What do you think that is that the one that you think you use the most?
Extra wide gap hook, EWG hooks, extra wide gap hooks. Yeah. And real quick, I'm going to show how easy it is to hook this, to put this together. I'm going to do it here in front of the camera. So you take your hook, you take your worm, you put it through the top here, like so. You put the hook through, like so. And you get to the top of the shank, and then you turn that hook, and that worm will sit right on that shelf, right there. Then you bend, you literally, it's called a Texas post. You take your thumb, you measure it, you bend the worm, you put the hook through, and on this particular one, there's a little hollow body there, and you just, which actually there's a great design. A lot of worms don't have this, but you just pull the worm back like so, and it'll stay there, and then you just run your fingers through that. When the fish bite it, that hook will be exposed. So it's a very simple. I mean, Abby has caught. How many bass have you caught on this simple rig, Abby?
Oh man, that's got to be one of my favorite ones, especially when the weeds start coming out, and that happens right after spring, and it happens so fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't go wrong with that setup ever.
Cool. That's awesome. Did we miss anything from the list?
You know, just those apps, definitely swim baits. Those are a ton of fun to use, you know.
So this is a larger swim bait. I'm just so people can, there's a big, you can see the paddle tail here, big swim bait. And there are different swim baits. There are little guys here, Abby. I'm going to see if I can use both. You see, if you can see both of these, you know, like the different sizes. You know, this is a 3-inch, this is a 5-inch. Obviously in the spring you want to use smaller baits, you know, and then later in the summer you want to use the larger ones.
You want to explain too why you want to do the smaller baits, because that is so important in the spring to know that.
So we did the walleye series, and the walleye series that we did a few weeks back with my buddy Steve Roberts, and I caught a lot of walleye on this little bait here. And it goes to show you, like, this is a 5-inch. Look how small. It's about an inch. And if you put your thumb there, it's almost as big as my thumb. You know, let's see if I can hold it there. I don't know if I can, but that's how small it is. Look at that.
And that great saying that you taught me, the match the hatch.
Match the hatch, correct. And the reason, and here's another one. I'm going to show you guys something here. You see, this is the CD to countdown 3. And if you can see that, Abby, let me get this here so you can see. I'm missing a hook. You see, you rip that hook.
Oh yeah, missing that trouble rod.
Yeah. See, I was catching walleye. I was catching everything with this thing.
Oh man.
This is super small, you guys. Look how small that is. Now the reason why, and that's a great question, Abby. Why are we using baits this small right now, right? Well, match the hatch, like Abby said. Everything in the ecosystem in the lake is small. Everything. You know, so, and it's probably even gonna get smaller because all these fish are laying eggs. Those eggs are gonna hatch, and you're gonna have a bunch of fry everywhere. Small fry. So the smaller you go, the better it is. We hooked into over a 45-inch northern pike, and that's what broke the hook off. You know, it was incredible. You can see the bite marks on the back of this thing.
Wow, isn't that's incredible?
That's the bite marks, man, right there. So it's really important, you guys, when you're out fishing, to start off small. And everything starts growing. Everything in the ecosystem starts growing. All cylinders are fired up. And as the year, you know, June, July, August, the bait gets bigger. So you have to adapt to that bait. And again, start off with the small stuff and work your way to the bigger stuff later on. And don't be afraid to throw. Everyone thinks they're like, oh, you're gonna catch a fish with that? Like, and I outfished my buddy. We're on the boat. He didn't put on, Abby. He didn't put on after I told him, hey, put that on, man. I had caught 10 fish in front of him.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, he was just being stubborn. You know, he didn't think he could catch on the countdown 3, and I was like, well, there you go. Proof is in the pudding, man. you know?
And if you do
So,
start small like that, it takes, it helps you with the guesswork. I mean, it's a lot of it is guessing too. I mean, a lot of it is knowledge and knowing what to look for, but there's a certain amount of guesswork and trial and error that you have to go through.
yeah, and a lot of times in the spring, we're with the crankbaits, you want to, and I like to throw crankbaits. So I'll talk about that in the some slides here. Let me just get to the next slide. So Abby, please enlighten us about your favorite techniques and presentations for bass.
We did talk about those plastics. I absolutely love plastics, especially in the spring. Um, this this top one in the middle is a Ned rig. It's kind of a more finesse style fishing when you really just need to be zone in on where fish are, especially with these like fishing a big body water like Mille Lacs and these smallmouth bass. When you find stuff like boulders and stuff that we mentioned in the other slides, you just want to place these right in front of their face, and they'll go after those like nothing, especially with that color, the green pumpkin, like Ray said early, is one that will always work. I love throwing these like husky jerk baits. Like this or any kind of crankbait with kind of a smaller lip. Something that doesn't always necessarily in the spring, you know, moves, but doesn't go completely berserk, because the water's still cooler, the fish, um, you know, the ones that go up and down that you could test go up and down in the water column, like just starting out small but going on, you have to also test on how high the fish are biting, you know. Also throwing this bait that he shows right here with the metal and the skirt is a great one too. Just
You're
making
talking
those
about
vibrations.
the chatterbait,
Yep.
Abby, like one like this.
Yep, exactly. One like that, and that color is great for fish too, making those vibrations in the water, just letting the fish know that the bait's there, you know. All
Yeah,
all fun things to throw, and they're all so different.
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot
They
of fun to
really
experience.
are. A lot of this particular bait in particular, Abby, this chatterbait, it displaces so much water because this thing here, when water hits it, it just goes bump, 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 bump. It goes just bump, 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 and it pushes out so much water. I don't know if it annoys the fish or drives them crazy, but it's a really great bait. I've caught some really big fish on this, and it's not hard to use. You throw it out and you reel it back to the boat. That's it, right?
And I love that you say that it's not always the hungry fish that'll bite. Sometimes if you just annoy them, they'll try to get rid of that. They'll try to get rid of that lure as fast as they can, even faster than they would if they were hungry. And
Right.
that's a fun way to fish too.
Yeah, here's another one. Here is the same bait, but with a trailer on it. And again, we'll be throwing this on when it gets a little bit like in the fall, right, Abby? A little bit more like in midsummer or fall. On Bemacasca, I caught, I don't know, like 5.5 pound. We were catching 4.5 to 5.5 pound bass on
Wow.
on the chatterbait.
Wow.
Just on this. So it's a fantastic bait, man. Fantastic bait. So
And some of these baits, like these husky jerks and stuff with the treble hooks that are really fun to use. I mean, a lot of times the best time to use them is the spring before the weeds come up because they can just be so frustrating later. And then you can start using things that guard the hook so that you don't get caught on the weeds. But right now, early spring is the best time to just really experiment stuff with big open trebles and just,
yeah.
you know,
And then your landing percentage, because you have so many hooks, your landing percentage is more, right, Abby? Your
absolutely.
percentages go up because you have exposed hooks versus like this hook is buried, but and then you have this hook here that's exposed. So your percentage here versus here, this is lower percentage, this is higher percentage here.
Right. Right.
So which is you make a great point. So let's move on to the next slide here. And we're going to get to some Q&A after this. All right, so my favorite techniques. Abby and we fish similar. So I love throwing crankbaits. Like Abby loves throwing crankbaits. That jerk bait is a phenomenal bait. I absolutely love crankbaits. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you folks why. When you throw crankbaits, you you catch active fish, and that's what you want to catch, right? You want to catch active fish. So we're going to talk just a little bit about these baits. We have different ones. We have ones that run shallow, ones that run a little bit deeper, and they run because of their lip. The lip is going to give you the depth. So if you like, this is a square bill. This is a baby brat 3. This is a number 4, DT4. DT means dive 2. This is a D3, DT3. So I would use different crankbaits in different situations depending on how deep the water is. I do have other crankbaits like these guys here. These are, I believe these are 6s or 8s. And as you can see, the lip's a lot larger, you know, and I want to throw these right on top of the grass and look for active fish. And I'm telling you, you can cover a lot of water very quickly with these. It's unbelievable. And that's what you want to do. My technique is once I throw this and I start getting bit, I stop, I hit my anchor on my boat because I know there's fish there. Then I slow down. Then what I'll throw a jig, Abby. Or I'm going to take one of yours. I'm going to take credit for one of your great techniques.
Oh, absolutely.
A stick bait. This is your jig. You can catch year round. This is the deal right here. This catches everything. And it has a trailer on it. Now, when you buy these baits, they come like this. They don't come with anything. It's just a hook, a weed guard, your head, and your hook, and your skirt, your silicone skirt. You can buy different trailers for them, depending on the length, different colors. You buy different trailers.
And that's fun right there, just experimenting
with different colors. Yep, exactly. So I really like the crawdad colors, like you were talking about, black and blue. There you go, black and blue, and then green pumpkin. Look at that.
Do you feel like some of those certain colors work better on rivers versus lakes, Ray? Or what have you experienced?
I mean, I think so. I think it depends on the forage. I think it depends, like if you're like when you go down to the river, down to like pool 3, pool 4 down there, there's a lot of shad. So shad are like silver color, so I'll use more like this. I won't even use black. I'll use something more white or chartreuse, or I'll use something like that, like your chatterbait, like something like this.
So understanding the body of water is very important too. Like,
yeah, something like that. Like that looks like a little shad right there. So that's what I would use. I would, like you said, match the hatch. I use a drop shot. I don't have a example for a drop shot, but I put one on the screen. It's basically a suspended bait over that comes up. You have your weight on the bottom, you have your hook, and then your bait, and it's basically, it just hangs horizontally. You know, your weight is on the bottom here, and it just dangles, and it is deadly, man. That I love drop shot, and you cover a lot of water too. It's really cool. And my absolute favorite, I have an illustration. It's topwater walk the dog. It's the most violent way to catch it. It's one of my favorite is, this is it right here. The walking the dog baits, and what this thing does, it zigs and it zags, as you can see on the illustration. When you cast that bait, what you're doing is you're using your wrist and a good cadence, and that bait starts moving in a Z, in a zagging and zigging and zagging. It drives fish crazy, Abby. I mean, you can call them up from 30 feet, 15 feet, a foot, 3 feet, doesn't matter. You catch so many fish on this. It's a little bit more of an advanced technique. It takes a lot of practice to get this down to the right components with your rod and reel. But man, when you start, if you can get this down, and I always tell people, do you have a heart problem? They're like, why? Because this will scare the crap out of you. When they hit this, it'll knock the rod out of your hand. You're like, oh God, it's so violent when they hit this, you know?
One of the most fun parts. Do you think like you're walking the dog technique? I mean, do you think the movement of the bait is more important than the color when it comes to fishing, or do you think that they're equally important?
I think that the cadence is more important. Reason why is because I look at water spiders and the way they move, and you'll see fish come up and slap water spiders, and they move really weird. They zig and they zag and they whatever.
Right.
I look at that first, and then I'll either use a white belly or a black. I'll use white or black, depending on the day. If it's sunny, if it's dark.
Point.
Yeah, so that's normally what I do, but because they can't, they can only see, they're looking up, so they can't see that it's green. Like this is a beautiful. The reason why it's like that, so you can see the baits. That's the reason it's like this. So when you're pulling it through the water, when you're pulling it, when it's swimming, you know, you can see it. You know, that's why they're very bright. But a lot of it is cadence. A lot of times, Abby, I brought in that bait real fast, didn't work. Then I'm like, let me try some slow, then I'll do this.
So a good thing for people to know that are starting is, I mean, yes, color is one thing, especially with the plastics, but when it comes down to it, the movement is much more important.
The speed, yeah, right. And it's the same thing with a jerk bait. Sometimes you're working it real slow, sometimes you have to work it really fast. And that, folks, right there is absolutely critical is the speed of that bait, how it moves. It's going to be, it's either going to make or break you that day. And you got to figure that out. That's how that you put together patterns, right, Abby? That's how you and I put together patterns, like figuring out, okay, you go fast, I go slow. Well, that doesn't work. Okay, let's medium. And also, oh, there's one, because you change the speed.
Right? And then you just remember what's working that particular day. Start small, go bigger, start slow,
Correct.
go faster.
Yep, correct.
You know?
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. I think what do we got? I think we're good. I think we made good time on this, Abby. We got about close to 20 minutes for folks to ask us questions. We're gonna start the Q&A, folks. Benji or Craig, can you guys help us out here? I'm gonna stop presenting because last time you couldn't see, so they can see us a little bit better. How's that? Can everyone see us a little bit better there?
Hey, Craig, if you want to stop the other slideshow, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Nice job, both of you. That was very informative.
Cool.
Learned quite a few things. So we had a couple about the Lake Finder app. I shared a link in there. If anybody doesn't see that or needs that, shoot me another message. We'll make sure we get the link in there. But the last question I saw is, do you like to match the jig head colors to your trailers?
That's a great question.
Yeah. So here's your jig. This is green pumpkin. I usually when you buy a jig, the head and the skirt, the silicone skirt, is going to be the same color. So I usually just try to keep I try to be uniformed. If I do change this, it's probably the flake and the color of the trailer. So it'll be red flake. It's green pumpkin still, but I'll do red flake or I don't know, June bug purple. They have all these weird names, right, Abby? They got for colors. Yep. It's crazy. They got all these weird colors. But yeah, I feel that it's good to keep it uniform, but just look at the flake. Because when you look at bluegills, when you look at crayfish, they have spots on them. They have like all these different colors on them. So, excuse me, you want to reflect that on your jig too. And also scent. Spray your jigs with scent. Very important. You have to put a scent on it.
And how long does that scent last, Ray? Like, how long?
If it's oil-based, Abby, it lasts longer. So you have oil-based, and then you have some other kind of stuff. Like Berkeley makes some stuff, but it's not oil-based. It's more like you dip it, and it doesn't last as long, but it's more powerful. So,
like that Kitech that you showed the viewers before. I mean, it comes when you buy them. You can't see it when he's holding it, but it comes oily. Like it has a coat on it.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, this is actually. You guys are not going to believe this. This is coffee. Yeah, it smells like coffee. I'm not even. This is coffee based right here. This trailer, is coffee based. I'm not a coffee drinker, but apparently the fish like coffee. Apparently bass are coffee drinkers. So
I didn't even know they had those.
Yeah,
so that's something I gotta try that for sure.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Double cappuccino trailer.
Absolutely. Love the color.
What other questions do we have, Craig and Benji?
Another question about your walking the dog technique.
Yeah.
What does the snap of the rod tip at the direction change do?
So what happens is you have to be very relaxed when you're doing it, and it's all in your wrist. It's not in. You want to keep your elbow. I'm just going to see if I can do it. You want to keep your elbow tight to your body, And the reason why, and sorry to nerd out on this, you guys, but if you lift your elbow up, you're going to develop a lot of lactic acid in your shoulder. Okay. You want to keep everything real tight. Relax your wrist, relax your hand. And this is the motion right here. This is the motion, and it's all in your wrist. And what that does, and you have to do it in a certain cadence, because what you want to do is you want that bait, and I don't have it tied on here, but you want to use either a loop knot. You don't tie straight on to the bait. You want to tie onto the O-ring. That'll give you more slack in that bait. So I hope that
More room to play with.
I'm sorry, Abby?
I said definitely more room to make some wider.
To zig and zag. Yeah, absolutely. And the faster you move your wrist, the tighter it gets. If you move your wrist slower, it's going to go. It's going to go real slow like this. But if you do this, it's going to go crazy. Sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to go crazy with that bait. You got to go pop, 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 like trigger them to bite, so drive them crazy.
And, for people who are starting out too, one of the, the greatest resources too is if you look anything up on YouTube, even how to tie certain knots, how to use basically any kind of these lures, they will give you a step-by-step showing how these work, and it'll remind you on when to use certain ones during different times. It's a great resource, especially when you're just starting out or have never heard of certain lures and just want to see it used in front of your face.
Got it.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Dave Martinez. What's up, brother? Thanks for joining us, man. That's awesome.
With the advent of plastics and all the artificial baits, you guys ever use live bait, or is that something you guys use at all? Or
Abby, I'll let you take down.
I love using live bait. I know a lot of people love using plastics. I love using both, but live bait is one of those that if they're not biting on plastics, you can pretty much for sure get them to bite when you use the live bait. Leeches, earthworms, minnows. It's just kind of nice with the plastics because you don't have to rebait your hook over and over again. You save a lot of time, you save a lot of money, and when it comes down to it, that window when they're biting and feeding, you don't want to be spending all that time rebaiting your hook over and over again. The more casts you get, the more chance you are of landing all these fish.
Yeah, it's about output. You're right, Abby. Output meaning how many times you can get your bait or your presentation in the water. That's why bass fishing is all about output. How many times can you pitch, flip, cast, and put that bait where it needs to be?
Absolutely.
That's gonna increase your landing percentage, big time.
You don't have to keep your plastics alive. There's just so many advantages of both. But
right, this doesn't go bad. A minnow, like if you had a regular minnow, like a live minnow, it'll die if it doesn't have enough oxygen, and you're not keeping it alive. Worms, put worms in the sun, they'll melt, man. It's terrible. So
another question kind of related to your point, Ray, about getting out there and bait in the water. The more water you can cover, the better off you are. But
absolutely, that's a really good point.
Ann asked about, do you tie your lures on each time, or do you use a connection between your line and your lure? And when do you use swivels?
I'm going to tell you why that's not a good thing. And it's just my opinion, my experience from being a professional tournament angler, fishing amateur. What happens, and I'll just give you an example. So if you're using a topwater bait and you have let's just say you have a leader, right? Because you're like, oh man, these muskies keep coming up northern and rip my line out. When you have that leader is going to drag your bait down just that way. That's going to throw off. If you use a crankbait too, it's going to throw the motion, the action, we call the natural action of this bait. It's going to throw it off. You don't want that. You want to make sure that this particular bait runs at optimal conditions. And if you put a leader, it could work. It has to be a really, really light leader. But I wouldn't recommend doing that simply because it'll drag the bait down. And it won't give it the proper action it needs. And the other thing too is you don't learn how to use knots a whole lot. it's good to retie. It's good to learn different knots. So I recommend maybe going away from that unless you're maybe fishing muskie. I recommend it, but other than that, I would recommend just tying straight into the O-ring of a crankbait or a lure. Just tie straight into it.
And if you're using braid, you don't have to use that leader line. You can take the fluorocarbon and tie that right on as your leader. And
Right.
there's so many different knots that can do that too. And it's
Right.
really smooth into your.
And it's strong, super strong. Abby. Super strong. I mean, that, yeah. So to your question, yeah, I would, that's a really good point, Abby. I would just get fish, just fish braid. You don't need a leader.
Well, and like a lot of these lakes where the fish are line shy, I mean, you're not going to find a whole lot of like the clip-on leaders that are as long as you need. I mean, sometimes these lakes where the fish are line shy, you need like almost 20 feet of that leader line that you can tie on, you know?
Absolutely.
Another couple of related questions. Favorite heavy grass bait, and is there a particular kind of aquatic vegetation that holds more bass? What's your favorite thing to
Great
fish?
Man. Creature baits. I would say, let me grab one.
Frogs.
Yeah, frogs. I mean, there's so many different ones. Sorry, I had to step out for a second. I didn't have the creature bait. Grass. Man, milfoil, hydrilla, coontail. It depends on the lake because some of those grasses are more oxygen, hold more oxygen. They're gonna hold more bass. But if you're fishing heavy cover, man, you want to go with something that's very streamlined, very streamlined.
Oh yeah, that's a great
I mean,
bait.
like, this is, I mean, you want something very streamlined, 1/2 ounce to a 3/4 ounce
Do you want
weight.
to tell them what that's
in the-
called too, so they can look when they go?
Yeah, this is just a small. It's basically a small creature bait from Reaction Baits. It's, and you can get any. I mean, everyone sells creature baits, but I want to show something here, Abby. The weight the weights. I don't know if I can do this, but it's one is a. I can't see them real well, but one of them is a. Maybe I hold them like this. You guys can see them.
Oh,
This
there
is
you
a
go.
3 ounce, and this is a 3/8 ounce. So Abby and I only fish with tungsten weight, which is green friendly. You see how bigger this is, and this is lead right here. Now look at the size difference there. You know. So with that said, um, creature baits that are very seamless, tungsten weight, and milfoil, man. Milfoil is not Eurasian, regular or native milfoil holds a lot of has a lot of oxygen, holds a lot of bass.
We're just about running out of time, and we got a few questions on it. We'll be able
Yeah,
to watch
please.
this later. If you guys go back to registration site, click on that link, all the recordings will be up there available. We are working on getting the transcripts uploaded, and they'll be on the DNR website, and we'll send that information out when we can. Abby, you touched on a little bit on the line types, and somebody asked about mono versus braid, and I just lost the question. What's your favorite type and poundage for bait casters?
Man, you know, I like going any like around 8 pounds, and then I like to do 8 to 10 pounds, and then I like to do my leader line about eight for I like Suffix for the fluorocarbon leader line, and I like to tie a really, really long one. I think my favorite knot for that is the FG knot. It takes a little longer, but it is a strong knot, and it is so smooth, and it'll hold that leader to your braid for a long time.
That's awesome. Oh man. Benji, could you repeat the question? What was it again? I'm sorry.
What type of line do you use, mono or braid? And then the best all-around line type and poundage for spinning and bait casting.
It depends on what you're fishing for, and I hate to answer it like that, right, Abby? But Abby's right. Like Abby throws a lot of finesse stuff, so the lighter line. But if you're fishing heavy cover, like for example, like I'm walking the dog, 50-pound Power Pro braid. That's the only thing I throw on it. when I'm
Wet
fishing.
water with the lily pads, those are tough.
Yeah.
You got to get them through there.
So think about this, folks. When you're fishing and you pitch a jig into heavy cover, heavy grass, right? Let's forget about the line for a second, but think about more. This is how you're going to figure out your line. You throw this into the lily pad, into the edge, sinks, and you feel dunk. You feel a bite. You're fighting the fish, you're fighting the lily pad or the grass, you're fighting the water, and you're fighting gravity. 4 things. You have to have a line that when you set that hook, you have leverage because you have 4 things taking away your leverage, and you're in a fight now with this animal. So if you're fishing heavy cover, I love braid. It gets straight to the point. Top water, either mono or braid. Fluorocarbon, if I'm fishing crankbaits, poundage, 12-pound test. I can go up to 18, but remember, if you'll keep that bait up because it's thicker line. But that's as far as I go. So, or for pound test.
Excuse me there, Abby. I had not heard of the FG knot, so I just animated knot, one of my favorite websites on YouTube. I just put a link in the chat. So if anybody wants to learn the FG knot that Abby was referring to, there's a link in there for that. So I think that's all the questions. If anybody has one last one they want to pop in there real quick, go ahead. Great job, you two. Any favorite bassing? What are you going to do this weekend? Where are you going to head? What are you going to look for when you're out fishing? Any particular lake or fish, weed lines, docks?
River, Ray?
I'm actually going to be going up to this weekend. Probably, I don't know, maybe somewhere up north. I don't know. I haven't really decided, but somewhere up there. Maybe Mille Lacs and or Goal Brainerd area, Goal area. So yeah. And what I'm looking for, I'm basically going to be looking for isolated grass that's growing and probably fish that are spawning or in transition. I'm be looking for that and looking for beds or fish that are transitioning, moving into beds to spawn. So.
And those glasses that you were talking about, the polarized ones, you can look down and see the bass beds this time of year. And it's so important to find those too if you want to find the fish.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, thank you to both of you. I think we're wrapped up. We got one more question that popped in about targeting bass through the ice. I know Ray likes to do a little ice. Well, I went ice fishing with both of you this winter and caught that ginormous one.
Yeah.
There, so do you guys target bass through the ice much, or?
I don't really target them. Most of the bass that I catch the ice are on tip-ups. Or sight fishing at the end of the year, but usually I think the fish that target most are the northern or the crappies or the walleye. But yeah, a lot of bass on tip-ups. Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Thad, thank you for everybody for attending. Oh, Ray, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's you can catch them. I mean, Abby put me on some bass this winter, so I lean to her to for bass during the winter. But I usually don't target them. You will catch them, but I usually don't target them. But they're a lot of fun to catch. So
you'll see a lot of them in the same areas that you'll see like the northerns too. That you'll catch on tip-ups. So that's, I think, they're in the kind of the same.
Vicinity.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you to both of you, and thanks for everybody for attending. Again, this recording will be, or the recording of this program will be put on our website here at a future date.
Cool.
And hopefully everybody will see you next week. And actually, Quality Sunfish Initiative is coming up next week, talking about some sun fishing topics new to Minnesota and what we're trying to do to increase the size of some of the sunfish. So hopefully we'll see everybody next week. So
awesome. Thanks everyone.
Right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you. Gracias.
If you want to take us into a practice session, that'd be great.